The sun was setting on the wild moon of Veralis, for the sky turned a deep orange while strange trees swayed in the cold wind. Tyler moved carefully through the thick forest, scanning the ground for anything edible. He had been stranded here for 3 days now, waiting for his broken ship to finish auto repair. He didn't like waiting. The silence, the strange howls in the distance. The constant feeling that something was watching none of it felt right. He held a small light in one hand and a makeshift spear in the other. Every now and then, he paused to check the trees. The scanner on his wrist beeped faintly. No danger nearby, at least not yet. Suddenly, a low growl broke the silence. Tyler froze. His heart pounded. The growl wasn't far. It came from behind the rocks near the ridge. He crouched low, moving slowly, and peeked over. What he saw made him stop breathing for a second. A huge creature, like a cross between a panther and a lion, lay on its side. Her fur shimmered like silver, and glowing blue lines ran across her body. Her paw was trapped under her body, and an arrow-long dark, coated with green slime, was buried deep in her front leg. She growled again, but didn't move. Her breathing was fast and shaky. Tyler knew she was in pain. She was dangerous, no doubt about it. One swipe of those claws could slice through armor. But he didn't see a monster. He saw someone hurt. He stepped back, thinking hard. He could walk away. Leave her. Stay safe. But instead, he threw his spear to the ground. Slowly, he raised his hands. Hey, I'm not here to hurt you, he whispered. The creature's ears twitched. Glowing eyes locked onto him. Her growl softened. You're hurt. He said, I want to help. She didn't move, but she didn't attack either. Tyler took one slow step forward, then another. The smell of poison and blood filled the air. When he was close enough, he dropped to his knees and pulled out a small med kit from his backpack. His hand shook, but he kept calm. This might hurt a bit, said softly. The creature bared her teeth but didn't strike. She watched him. Closely, Tyler took a deep breath and grabbed the arrow. With one fast motion, he pulled it out. The creature roared, and for a moment he thought she would leap on him. But she didn't. She collapsed to the side, breathing hard. He quickly poured an antitoxin over the wound and wrapped her paw with bandages. Her fur was warm and soft under his fingers. Body was strong but trembling. It's okay, Dot. It's out now, he said. He sat beside her for a while, watching her eyes slowly close. She was still breathing, still alive. Tyler stayed with her until nightfall. The stars appeared above, and the forest grew dark. Strange lights moved in the distance, and unfamiliar calls echoed from the trees. But the creature didn't stir. She slept beside him, trusting him. He didn't know why. He helped her. Maybe it was the look in her eyes. Maybe it was the loneliness. Or maybe it was just the right thing to do. When the cold became too much, Tyler stood up. I'll be back, he whispered. As he walked away, he felt her eyes on him again. She was awake, watching. He looked back once before disappearing into the trees. The next morning, Tyler woke up in his small shelter. He stretched and checked his scanner. Still no signs of rescue. Still alone. He grabbed his gear and stepped outside, heading toward the same ridge. Part of him thought she'd be gone, but she wasn't. The creature was sitting upright, her paw still bandaged. When she saw him, she didn't growl. Instead, she stood up slowly and walked a few steps toward him. She stopped. Watching Tyler, smiled. Glad you made it through the night? He reached into his bag and tossed her a few energy rations. She sniffed them, then ate. They didn't speak, couldn't, but something passed between them. A quiet understanding. For the next few days, she followed him at a distance. He never tried to touch her again, but he talked to her while he searched for supplies. She would sit nearby when he rested and disappear into the shadows when he moved. On the fourth night, she brought him something. Tyler was setting up his fire when she appeared with a strange, glowing fruit in her mouth. She dropped it beside him, sat down and stared. He picked up the fruit, scanned it, edible. It took a bite, sweet and rich, Better than anything he'd found here. He looked at her. Thanks. She blinked slowly. From that night on, she came every evening, sometimes with food, sometimes just to sit near the fire. Tyler began calling her Nari. He didn't know who or what she really was. He didn't know why she stayed close. He knew one thing for sure, he was no longer alone. And deep inside, something told him that saving her paw had started something much bigger than he could. Imagine something was changing not just in her, but in him too. The sun rose quietly over the forest of Veralis 4. The trees shimmered with morning mist, and strange birds flew across the sky. Tyler stood near his shelter, chewing a dry ration bar and staring into the trees. His eyes scanned the area out. Of habit now, not just for danger, but for her. And there she was. Nayari stood behind the thick vines, almost hidden. Her silver fur glowed in the morning light, and her blue eyes were locked on him. She didn't move, didn't growl, just watched. "Good morning," Tyler said softly, like he always did. He tossed a small fruit toward her. She didn't touch. Yet at first, she only stepped out once he turned his back and started packing his gear. When he looked again, the fruit was gone. Each day had become like this. Tyler searched for materials to speed up his ship's repair, and Nari followed him. From a distance, never too close, never too far. It felt strange at first, like being watched by a wild spirit. But now, it felt normal, comforting even. He wasn't sure why she stayed. Maybe she still didn't trust him fully. Maybe she was just curious. Or maybe in her own silent way, she had accepted him. Tyler didn't speak much. The forest was too quiet for loud words. But he always talked to her, told her about Earth, about the places he missed, about his dog when he was a kid. She didn't understand the words, at least he thought, but she listened. One afternoon, while collecting metal fragments from a crashed probe, Tyler slipped on the wet ground and landed hard on his side. He groaned, checking his arm. Not broken, but sore. Before he could get up, Nari appeared beside him. Her steps were slow, cautious, but she didn't stop at the edge. She walked all the way to him and stood close enough that he could feel her breath. "I'm okay." Tyler whispered, surprised she came so near. She sniffed his arm, then sat beside him. "You're really something, you know that?" he said, smiling. She tilted her head, blinking slowly. They stayed like that for a while, just resting. Tyler no longer felt afraid of her. She wasn't just a creature anymore. She was ... something more. Not just a beast, not just company. Something between friend and guardian. That night, she didn't leave. She curled up near his fire, her glowing body a shield between him and the darkness. When the wind howled, she didn't flinch. When strange creatures cried out far away, she growled low, guarding the camp. Tyler couldn't sleep, not because of fear, but because he felt like he didn't deserve this. It only pulled an arrow. Out. That's all. Yet now, this powerful creature was staying by his side. He turned his head and looked at her. "You don't have to stay, you know." She opened one eye, stared at him, and closed it again. The next day, she followed him much closer, not hiding anymore. When he climbed hills, she helped by pulling fallen trees aside. When he faced strange beasts, she stepped in front, growled, and scared them away. When he found clean water, she dipped her head and drank beside him. Each small action was silent, but they meant something. She trusted him now. They became a team without speaking a word. On the 5th day, Tyler was building a signal booster from old drone parts. Nari sat nearby, chewing on some dried roots she had found. The signal device sparked, and Tyler cursed. Softly as smoke rose from the wires. "Okay, that didn't work," he muttered. I stood up and walked over. She gently pushed the device with her paw. "Hey, easy." Tyler laughed, but then he looked closer. The spark had stopped. The connection point one he had wired wrong was now corrected, thanks to her touch. Double quotes. "Wait, ... did you just fix it?" She looked at him, tail flicking once. "You're smart," he said slowly. "Very smart, smarter than he thought." He looked. into her eyes and saw more than instinct there. He saw focus, thought, maybe even emotion. He began to wonder, was she something more than just a wild creature? As days passed, Nari helped more and more. She understood his gestures, learned to fetch tools, and even found rare materials he needed. She wasn't just watching anymore. She was learning. Then one evening, she brought something strange, a carved piece of bone shaped into a spiral. She dropped it at his feet and stepped back. Tyler picked it up, confused. It looked too perfect to be natural. "What is this?" he whispered. Nora stared at him, her head dipped slightly, almost like a nod. He turned the bone over in his hands. It had markings, symbols, not from any creature, but from a culture. She wasn't alone. He looked at her. "Are there more like you?" She didn't answer, just turned and walked toward the trees. Tyler followed. She moved quickly through the forest, past places he had never explored, through rivers, under giant roots, up rocky cliffs. The journey took hours, but he didn't stop, not once. Finally, they reached a hill that overlooked a deep valley, and in that valley, hidden by fog and tall trees, were shapes, glowing shapes, structures, homes, buildings, not human, not machines, but a village. Nari turned to him, her blue eyes bright in the dark. She had brought him here for a reason. He realized then she wasn't just a wild animal. She belonged to something far greater, and she had chosen to trust him with it. Tyler stood at the top of the hill, frozen in silence. Below him, hidden between the glowing trees and thick fog, was something he never expected, a full alien village. Tall stone towers rose from the ground, shaped like claws reaching for the sky. Glowing blue orbs floated between wooden huts. Strange flags moved with the wind, and shadows, large and graceful, walked through the paths below. He looked at Nari. She didn't speak, but her eyes told him everything. This was her home. He had thought she was alone, a wounded animal in the forest, but now he realized he had been wrong. She was part of something bigger, and from the look of the village. It wasn't just a small group, it was a full society. Why? Why me? Tyler whispered. Nur stepped closer to him and gently nudged his arm, like telling him not to be afraid. Then she walked down the hill, slow and proud. Tyler hesitated but followed her. As they entered the edge of the village, more figures appeared. They were like Nari, tall, strong, covered in silvery fur with glowing patterns on their skin. Their eyes were bright blue or gold. Many wore armor made from polished bone and strange crystal. Their movements were graceful, quiet, and controlled. Tyler felt like he had stepped into a dream. Some of them growled softly when they saw him. Others backed away. A few raised long spears. But Nari stood tall and walked right into the center of the village, not looking back. Tyler kept his hands up and moved slowly. "I don't want trouble," he said calmly. "I just followed her." The largest of the aliens stepped forward. He was taller than Nari and had sharp patterns across his face. He looked down at Tyler with narrow eyes. Then, in a deep voice, he said one word. "Human." Tyler's heart jumped. "You can speak?" The alien nodded slowly. "Only few words. Learned from listening." Then another voice spoke, soft, calm, and clear. "He is the one who removed the arrow." Tyler turned. The voice had come from Nari. She stood beside him, speaking in perfect English. You can talk?" Tyler asked in shock. Nar nodded. "Yes. I listened to your words. I learned." Tyler felt like his legs would give out. "But why didn't you say anything before? You were afraid. You treated me like a friend, even when I was silent." "I wanted to be sure you meant no harm." The large male stepped back, letting Nari step forward. "My name is Nari of the Envalari." She said, "We are not beasts. We are an old people, hidden from the galaxy. Most think we are only myths." Tyler took a deep breath. I thought you were just a wild creature," Nari tilted her head.
How many
"Outsiders have tried to hunt us. Most do not show kindness. You did." He looked around then. "This village, your people, they all know about me now. They saw how you helped me. It is not common for an outsider to be allowed here. But you did more than help. You offered trust. One of the elder Envalari walked forward. She was smaller than the others, but her eyes were wise. She carried a staff with a crystal at the top. He pulled poison from your blood, the elder said to Nari, and you still live. The signs are clear. Nari bowed her head. He has earned a place among us. Tyler shook his head slowly. Wait, earned what? The elder turned to him. A bond. One not given lightly. One that lasts beyond war. In time. Tyler blinked. A bond. Nari stepped closer. The life bond. He felt his heart beat faster. What does that mean? It means you are not just a guest. It means you are chosen. A companion. One who stood beside us without fear and with heart. We didn't know what to say. This was too big. It's too fast. I didn't do anything special, Tyler said. I just pulled an arrow. No, Nari said softly. You saved me. You risked your safety. You offered kindness when there was no reason. We do not forget such things. The elder raised her staff. The others bowed their heads. He is human, she said, but he carries honor. Nari looked into his eyes. You don't have to accept the bond, but I offer it, not as a prize, but as trust. I offer myself not as a servant, but as a partner, someone who walks beside you. Tyler felt his chest tighten. He looked around at the Envalari, all watching him. He thought of the day he found her, hurt and growling, how scared he had been, how everything changed with one act of courage. Now, she stood before him, not as a beast, not as a mystery, but as someone who offered her world. I don't know what the future holds, Tyler said slowly, but I trust you, Nari. I accept. Nari's eyes glowed brighter for a moment. Then she stepped forward and placed her forehead gently against his. The moment felt still, quiet, like the forest itself was holding its breath. The life bond was made. The crowd of Mevalar let out a soft growl, to gather a sound of approval. Deep and full of meaning after that, Tyler was no longer just a stranded human. He was welcomed into the heart of a hidden people, and Nari stood beside him not because she had to, but because she chose to. The village of the Envalari was quiet that night, but it wasn't because of fear. It was because something rare had happened. Human had been accepted. And not just accepted, he had formed a life bond with Nari, the future leader of their people. Tyler sat by the fire in the center of the village. Glowing blue stones circled the flames, and soft music played from a curved bone instrument held by a young Envalari child. The stars above were brighter than any he had seen on Earth. The trees glowed gently, as if breathing. He still couldn't believe what had happened. A few days ago, he was just trying to survive. Now, he was part of something ancient and beautiful. Nara sat beside him. She didn't speak much, but her presence was calm and warm. Her silver fur glowed under the firelight, and her golden armor shimmered when she moved. The wound in her paw had healed, though a faint scar remained. She never hid it. It was a mark of change. Tyler leaned back. This all feels unreal. Nari looked at him. You are still unsure? He smiled. Not unsure, just surprised. Back on Earth, I was just another face in the crowd. Now I'm someone important here. She nodded slowly. You are not important because of power. You are important because of your heart. Her words touched him more than he expected. A group of elders approached. They walked with grace and strength, each holding a long staff carved with symbols. They stopped near the fire and bowed their heads. We wish to speak with the one called Tyler, said the lead elder, a female with deep green eyes. Tyler stood, unsure. I'm here. Shh. Accepted the life bond, she said. Do you understand its meaning? Tyler looked at Nari, then back at the elder. I know it means trust, that I walk beside her, not above or below. The elder smiled. Good, but it is more than that. It means you are now part of our people. It means you protect us, and we protect you. Another elder stepped forward. It also means your voice matters here. Tyler blinked. My voice. Nari explained. With the bond, you are no longer an outsider. You can join our councils, share ideas, help shape decisions.
I
Nodded slowly. I understand. The elder turned to the villagers and raised her staff. Let it be known that Tyler, the human, walks with the Envalari. His courage has been witnessed. His bond has been accepted. The crowd of villagers growled softly, a deep, respectful sound. After the gathering ended, Nari and Tyler walked. Through the village, glowing lights floated between trees and soft winds moved through the leaves. It felt like peace lived here. You said you were to be leader one day? Tyler asked. Yes, Nari said, when the time is right. Does this bond change that? She shook her head. No, it strengthens it. A leader must know more than just war. A leader must know kindness, trust, and different ways of thinking. You bring those things. Tyler smiled. I never thought I'd be called a good influence by an alien princess. Nari's eyes sparkled. You still use strange words? They laughed softly. As they walked further, Nari stopped near a tall tree. This is my family tree, she said. The bark was carved with symbols, names, stories. She pointed to a glowing mark near the top. That is my mark. Beside it, I will carve yours. Tyler felt a mix of pride and nervousness. It is, she agreed, but it is my choice. She turned to face him. When you removed the arrow, I saw pain in your eyes. Not for yourself, but for me. That moment changed everything. You didn't run, you helped. And in our world, that means more than you know, he nodded. And when you stayed by my side, when you shared food, protected me, that meant something. To me, too. They stood in silence for a moment. Nari, Tyler said, I don't know everything about your people. I might make mistakes, but I won't walk away. She stepped closer. I never wanted perfect. I wanted real. You are real. That night, the bonding ceremony began. In the center of the village, the elders placed 2 glowing stones side by side, one for Nari, one for Tyler.
Ow.
The stones pulsed with a soft blue light. The villagers formed a wide circle, each holding a light in their hands. Together, they sang a slow, deep song. It was not a song of words, but of meaning. Nara and Tyler placed their hands on the stones. The lights glowed brighter. Then they each touched the other's chest, right over the heart. You carry part of me, Nari said, and I carry part of you. A warm light flowed between them, from her hand to his and back again. The bond was sealed in the eyes of the N. Single quotes. Ver. From that moment on, it's not his property, not his power, but his chosen equals. As the ceremony ended, Tyler looked around. The faces that once stared with fear and caution now looked at him with respect. He was not just a visitor anymore. He belonged. And as he stood beside Nari, hand in hand, he understood something deeper. What started as an act of kindness in a dangerous forest had become something powerful. She had offered herself not in servitude, but in purpose, loyalty, and connection, and he had given his heart in return. The days that followed were peaceful. Tyler trained with the Invalari warriors, learning their fighting style, which focused on balance, speed, and silent movement. He wasn't as strong as them, but his human thinking, his way of seeing patterns. Setting traps and reading machines made him useful. Nara stood beside him each day. She guided him through the forest, taught him how to listen to the wind, how to understand the silence. Together, they made a strong team. And the villagers began to say their bond was not just rare, but a sign of something greater. But peace does not last forever. On the 8th morning after the life bond ceremony, the warning drums echoed across the valley. Tyler dropped the tool he was holding and ran toward the center of the village. Warriors were gathering, weapons in hand. Their glowing armor caught the sunlight, and their eyes burned with focus. Nara met him there. Her face was calm, but her fur was bristling. What is it? Tyler asked. A ship has entered our sky. She said, not one of ours. Tyler's stomach dropped. Who? A scout rushed forward, breathing hard. It bears the mark of the Zorth Raiders. Nari's eyes narrowed. They hunt rare species. They capture and sell them across the galaxy. Tyler clenched his fists. They came for you. Nari looked toward the sky. They think we are weak. They think we hide because we are afraid. But they are wrong. Within an hour, the Nevalar village transformed. Traps were set along every path. Sharp spears and crystal bows were handed out. Warriors lined the cliffs. Every villager, from elder to child, moved with purpose. Tyler rushed to his small shelter and pulled out the tech he had repaired over the last few days to drones, signal jammer, and an old defense pulse unit. He carried them to the hill and met with Nari. "We're not alone now," he said. "These might give us a chance." Nari nodded. "You fight with us?" "Of course," he said. "I'm part of this now." A loud roar shook the sky. The enemy ship appeared above the trees, black and long, with sharp wings and glowing red engines. It hovered, then began to descend. Dropships fell from its belly like metal insects, heading straight for the valley. Tyler turned to Nari. "Let's show them who they're dealing with." The first clash came fast. Zorth raiders dropped into the forest, wearing spiked armor and holding shock blades. But the Envaler were ready. Their warriors struck from the trees, moved like shadows, and vanished before the enemy could react. Tyler used his drones to track the raiders from above, sent messages to the ground teams, guiding them with precision. To approaching from the left, he shouted, "Behind the rocks." Nari led a strike team through the undergrowth, leaping high and landing on the attackers before they could lift their weapons. Her claws flashed. Her team moved with perfect timing. It was like a dance, deadly fast and beautiful. The enemy was surprised. It expected easy targets, not skilled fighters and clever traps. But more ships arrived. Stepped out taller than the rest, covered in heavy armor. He had a scar down his face and a voice that growled like thunder. "Bring me the silver beast," he shouted, "and the human too. The buyers will pay double." Tyler heard the voice. Through the broken translator, "He wants both of us." Nari bared her teeth. "We'll get nothing." As the battle spread across the valley, Tyler activated the signal jammer. The enemy lost contact with their main ship. Confusion spread among them. It broke into smaller groups easy to trap. But the commander was smart. He used one of the stolen drones to track Tyler. Soon, Tyler's position was found. 3 raiders rushed him, ducked behind a tree, fired his pulse unit, and took one down. Another charged him with a blade, but before it could strike, Nari appeared fast as lightning. She tackled the raider, knocked the weapon away, and stood protectively in front of Tyler. "You are not alone," she said, voice firm. They fought. Side by side, her with claws and grace, him with tools and timing. Together, they took down the attackers, but the commander still came. He marched through the village, smashing defenses, yelling for surrender. "You cannot stop me. You are a forgotten people." Tyler and Nari rushed toward him. The final battle took place near the heart of the village. The commander faced them, holding a massive energy blade. "You're just a human," he growled. Tyler stood tall. "No, I'm part of this world now." Commander attacked Nair, blocked the first strike with her claws, but the blade sent sparks flying. Tyler used a flash charge, blinding the enemy for a second. Nari jumped, slashing across the armor. The commander roared, swinging wildly. He struck Nari's side, sending her sliding across the ground. "Nari," Tyler shouted. The commander turned. To him, blade raised. "Your turn." But before he could strike, Nari rose, wounded but strong. She leaped onto the commander's back, knocked him down, and tore the blade from his hand. Tyler ran forward and aimed the pulse unit at the commander's chest. "Don't move." The Zorth leader growled. "You'll regret this." "No," Tyler said. "I already made my choice." Nari slammed the blade into the ground beside the commander's head. "You lost." With the commander captured, the remaining Zorth raiders surrendered or fled. The village rang with the sound of drums this time, not for war but for victory. Nara limped slightly, but her eyes were still sharp. Tyler helped her walk toward the center fire. "You saved me," she said. "We saved each other," he replied, and around them, Envalar, cheered not just for victory, but for unity. The morning after the battle was calm. Soft light filtered through the trees, and the air was cool and quiet. Birds returned to their nests, and the forest no longer echoed with the sounds of war. The enemy ship was gone. Zorth raiders who survived were captured and locked inside energy cells made by the village elders. Tyler sat near the healing spring, dipping a cloth into the warm water and pressing it gently against Nari's side. The cut she had taken from the commander's blade was deep, but the Envalar's healing herbs and natural strength helped her recover quickly. "I still think you're made of steel," Tyler said with a small smile. Nari gave a soft laugh. "You are the one who faced a warlord with only a broken pulse gun and clever tricks." "No. You saved me more than once," Tyler replied. They sat in silence for a while. Nari rested her head on his shoulder. Her fur was soft, and the warmth of her body made Tyler forget the pain in his arm and legs. The bond between them was stronger now, built not just on kindness or tradition, but on trust through danger. Soon, the village called for them. The elders stood in a circle around the central fire. The villagers had gathered. Children sat on stones. Warriors stood tall, with their armor still marked from battle. It was time to speak about what had happened and what it meant for the future. The lead elder stepped forward. "We have seen the enemy defeated. We have seen unity in battle. We have seen two hearts fight as one." She turned to Tyler. "You were once a stranger in our forest. Now, you are part of our story." Nari stood beside him. "I made the bond. With him, not out of duty, but because I saw something that mattered." The elder nodded, and we have all seen it too. Then she raised her staff. "Today we offer Tyler a place among our people, not just in name, but in spirit. Will you accept it fully?" Tyler stepped forward. "I already did in my heart. But yes, I accept it with all I have." The villagers let out a soft growl of agreement. The sky above seemed brighter, as if the world itself approved. Later that day, Tyler stood with the builders of the village. They showed him how to shape stone with sound, and how to charge crystals for power. He shared with them his earth knowledge, simple ways to store energy, how to use metal scraps from the raider ship for tools and defense. Earth and Envalari knowledge mixed together. Building something stronger, Nara watched him as he worked. Pride filled her heart. That evening, they walked together into the forest. They returned to the place where it had all started, the spot where Tyler had first found her. Injured and alone, the ground still held the mark from where she had bled. The trees stood the same, silent and tall. "Everything changed here," Nari said softly. "I know," Tyler answered. "This place will always mean something to me." She turned to face him. "When you pulled the arrow from my paw, you gave me more than healing. You gave me a reason to trust again." Tyler looked into her glowing eyes. "You gave me more than a place to stay. You gave me a home." Nari lowered her head and gently touched her forehead to his. "And I will never let you regret it." A wind passed through the trees, soft and full of life. They returned to the village and joined a quiet celebration. Food was shared, songs were sung, and stories were told. Tyler heard tales of ancient warriors, of distant worlds, and of the first Envalari bonds. Now his and Neris bond had become one of those stories too. The elders declared that the village would no longer hide completely. They would remain careful, but not silent. Nari and Tyler would guide the first steps of their people, reaching out not with weapons, but with open hands and sharp minds. They repaired a small scout ship from the raider wreck. Tyler helped adjust the controls for human use, while the Envalari added natural tech tree sap crystals that responded to voice, vines that tightened like living wires, and controls made from carved bone. Soon, they would send a message to Earth. Not a call for rescue, but an invitation to learn, to understand. But Tyler was not in a hurry. "Do you miss Earth?" Nari asked one night as they lay under the stars. "I do," he said honestly, "but not like I thought I would. When I first landed here, I wanted to leave every second. I want to stay every second." "You don't have to choose forever now," she said. "But wherever you go, I will go too." He reached out and took her hand. "Wherever you stay, I will stay." They said nothing more. They didn't need to. The stars above watched them, quiet and endless. The galaxy would keep turning. Wars would rise and fall. But here, in this forest, on this quiet moon, a human and an alien had created something that no war could break. It started with a single act of kindness. It became a bond of trust, and it grew into something that would echo across both their worlds, never apart. Never forgotten, just two souls who met at the edge of Panand turned it into purpose.